Dreams is a fantastic game engine tool that allows you to make everything and anything, but so far all we've talked about is what other people have made. In today's video, we're going to go over what you can make, starting with your own original character. If you've ever fantasized about having your own franchise and created all these awesome and fun characters in your head, but you just can't get the hang of things like Blender or Womp or really any other kind of sculpting tool, well, Dreams is a great place to start your concepts. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer: you cannot take models you make in Dreams outside of Dreams, meaning you can't export characters or assets. But if you plan on conceptualizing things on Dreams like animations or games, or hey, even do Dreams as a hobby, which I highly recommend, this video is definitely going to help you. Now, to not waste your time, I'm going to be going over these key concepts, so if you're looking for something specific, you know it's covered in the video, and if I don't cover something in the video, just, leave it in the comments what you want to find out, and I can always make a part 2. So, the key things I'll be covering is base character design, how to attach additional items, how to create clothing, and basic animation. These are the fundamentals to character building within Dreams. Now, there are a ton of character bodies you can choose from, with MM's original design shown here, or some community created ones that come in all shapes and sizes. However, for this, we're going to be starting with a base model made by one of the community created people in Dreams. The reason why we're using this model is it's just such a basic human shape, and it will probably give you the easiest way to learn all the kind of tricks and trades that you'll use to make even better characters. Now, if you are just starting out, I highly suggest that you use this model or something like it, but if you want to fancy yourself, a bit more intricate, go ahead. To be honest, all the things that I'm going to talk about can be used on any puppet, so it's really up to you where you want to start. Now, just remember, everything you make for the first time is going to be your worst version of it. So take this opportunity to learn and have fun rather than seeking perfection for the first time, because you really don't want to frustrate yourself, especially if you're here to have fun. Okay, so let's dive in. First, I'm just going to give the character a very basic human design, nothing too flashy. Some things I had trouble with was understanding what scoping in and out of puppets actually meant. So, to scope in, meaning to focus in on one specific body part, you want to press L1 and X. This allows you to customize that body piece that you're hovering over. If you're scoping in on arms, legs, feet or hands, what tends to happen is it's going to mirror the effect on the opposite hand, even if you don't have mirror activated. So if you're wanting to add different things to different arms without it being on the same arm, you're going to have to make that a separate sculpt, but we'll talk about that in a bit. A thing I like to do when sculpting anything would be to use the ball, put it into stamp mode and use it on a wee bit of blend. This will be easiest for getting shapes, doing hair, specifically kind of toon hair, and other features. Also, try and plan out the character by drawing or building it in your head. It doesn't matter if you can't draw, just having a rough concept will help you when sculpting the character. Okay, so we've got the basics of the character, let's play and see what happens. Okay, so you'll notice that anything we actually added to the puppet hasn't actually stuck to it, so let's find out why. So, whenever you're adding a piece that isn't part of the puppet itself, you have to scope in, basically gluing it to the character, and this really goes for anything. Eyeballs, hair, eyebrows, clothing, anything. Hold the item you're adding with R2, then scope in using L1 and X, deselect with circle, and then scope out with L1 and circle. Let's play again and you'll notice that now everything's attached, but don't worry if you're still running into a problem. I'm going to cover some possible issues in a second. Okay, so let's go over some possible mistakes and things to avoid. If you're using pre-made assets from other Dreamers, which is fine by the way, they're there to be used, sometimes they aren't optimized or they have additional things like logic or lights. Make sure to scope in and check the item is by itself. The reason we do this is because if you don't know what lights or logic is attached to an item that you're using, it can interfere with basically everything, so always make sure or delete anything attached that you're not actually going to use. If your item or body piece keeps falling through the floor, simply turn off the movable option so that it stays in place. If your item or body piece looks like it's clipping out or pushing other parts of the body, you need to make it non-collidable. Simply go into playtest, then heat maps, and look at what is collidable. You want everything non-collidable for collision and performance sake. The more collidable assets you have on a character, the more the game has to keep track and use resources to follow. And don't worry about making all parts non-collidable. This won't make your character fall through the floor. The character collision is actually a whole separate menu that you can tweak. Okay, so now you know how to add stuff. You simply hold R2 over the body piece you want to add it to, and then press L1 and X to scope it in. So, let's move on to clothing. But before we do, if you've found this video helpful so far, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments below. But let's move on. So, clothing. You can do clothing in two different ways. A complicated way and then an easy way. The easy way is simply scoping into the puppet's skin and building the clothing outwards like so. Drawbacks of this are things like having less dynamic clothing, or the inability to change outfits or make fabric move independently because it's attached to the puppet's skin. However, it automatically fits to the body and it still does look good. And the difficult way is the same way you made hair and eyes and all the other assets on the character's face and stuff. You sculpt over the body with a separate asset, scope it in, and the drawbacks to this are extra thermal and stuff like that. You have to line it up with the character perfectly, just in case like the character bends over, you'll notice clipping and stuff. The pros of this though are having more design, more style, and the ability to remove or add clothing, but again, it is a bit more difficult, especially for someone that's just starting out. For this basic puppet tutorial, I'm going to use the same technique I did with the hair, use a shape, use blend on it to give it those ripples in the clothing, build it over the skin of the puppet. This makes the clothing look less like skin and, well, more like clothing. With time you can get it looking just as good as you want, even if it was its own separate asset. It's just got to take time, effort, and a wee bit of tweaking. So, you've got your character looking great, but now you've got to animate him. Well, luckily for you, the most basic animation tools are right in front of you. When you're fully scoped out of the puppet, press L1 and square for the puppet's menu, and then go down to the bottom and all the procedural animations for idle, walk, run, jump are all there. Simply press the button and it will allow you to position the puppet in whatever pose you want for each individual animation. Hit play and voila, it does it automatically. You can of course create a fully original animations and stuff like that, however for this basic tutorial we're just going to stick with the procedural stuff. Using these pages you can choose exactly how your puppet should react while doing the animation. Just make sure you hit the button at the bottom first. And just like that your character is animated. I'm now going to show you my main character Red, who is my original character. He's plastered all over everything I make. I don't think I've ever made anything without him. So this is him. Let's take a look at the logic. Now I know this is going to look quite scary for people that have just basically started Dreams or started their original character process. Honestly, most of this stuff is fairly simple to do. It's just keyframes, putting things in certain places at the right time. For instance, a keyframe will turn off one hairstyle and put out another hairstyle, and basically how I did that was just I sculpted two different hairstyles, I scoped them into the head, and then a keyframe turns one on and one off. So with everything, it just takes time. I'm happy to make a part 2 of this to go over more stuff. But I just wanted to make this quick and easy one because I know a lot of people are new to Dreams and coming in and trying to make their characters, and it's a shame when I see people that are getting frustrated because they're not getting the right answers or they're not figuring out how to do it quick enough. And when I started and I really wanted to make Red, someone sat me down and took the time to teach me how to do it, and now I'm able to make characters day and night. So, although, you know, the one that I made today isn't exactly perfect, but, you know, I just made that and very quickly. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope it does help. If you want to know anything else, I do have about 3 years plus in Dreams, so I do know my way around some character creation aspects, so if you need anything else, just let me know. And again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!